Yo, what's up, gamers? It's your boy. So, the other day, I was wondering which Planet Zoo map should I use to start my new project? And that led me to wondering how many different maps are there in Planet Zoo? Some other YouTubers have posted videos on this before, but these videos are a bit outdated by now, so I decided to just do my own research and post my findings in my own video. So, turns out there are approximately 28 and a half-ish maps in the game. This may not make a lot of sense right now, but hang on, let me explain. When you start a new Sandbox zoo, you are presented with two options. You can either select the default maps, which are organized by biome and then by continent. Some of these are the same, and some of these are different, as you can see. Or you can select a scenario zoo, which allows you to pick a map from any of the career or challenge scenarios. Some of these are the same as the default maps, but there are some unique maps in here as well. Now, some of these scenario maps come with the unfortunate downside of having very small building areas. However, there is a mod on the Nexus called the Expanded Borders mod, which allows you to expand the borders. And I use this mod to expand the borders of every single scenario map, and then I uploaded every scenario map onto the workshop so that anyone can download these maps with large borders without having to download the mods themselves. I am also not the first person to do this either, but several of the newer scenario maps have not been uploaded with expanded borders, and so I just went ahead and uploaded all of them and put them all into one collection for anyone to use. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into talking about how many maps there are. First up, we have the desert maps. The default desert map can be selected either by picking the continents of Asia or North America, and then you get these great big canyon walls surrounding the map, and it looks really awesome. I think it's worth mentioning that we're defining different maps based on the actual backdrops of the map, because that's the thing that once you pick a map, you can't change the background. So it's important to pick the one that you want right from the beginning. You can also get this map by going to the scenario zoos and selecting either Nevada State Eco Zoo or Tiffany's Paradise Park. All of these different maps are being counted as one map, as the background you get from all of them is the same. The second desert map is the South American Desert. This one comes with some great big mesas in the background, very similar to Monument Valley. The Mexican Conservation Park uses the same map border and therefore is the same map. Then we have the African Desert map, which is just endless sand dunes sprawling for as far as the eye can see. And the scenario map, El Darar Bazaar, uses the same border, which brings our total up to 3. And our final desert map is the Oceania map, which comes with the iconic red rock outback look. While the Australian scenario map, the Tanami Roadside Zoo, has the same background, it has slightly different colored sand, a large rock formation in the background, as well as this road which stretches way off into the distance, which gives this map like an extra half a point, which brings our total maps up to 4.5. Our next category are the Grassland maps. The default Grassland map can be selected either by picking Asia, Oceania, Europe, or South America, and you just kind of get a generic grassland with some nice hills and trees in the background. You will also get the exact same background by selecting the Permamarca Educational Reserve scenario. The next grassland map is the African Grassland, which is just a basic savanna. Some rocky hills, and there's a couple lakes around it, and there are no scenarios that use this map. Next we have the North American Grassland, and this is pretty much exactly what the Great Plains looks like if you've ever driven through there. Interesting thing about this one is the long grass texture for the terrain is slightly more green than all the other grassland maps, which I guess that makes it unique, which is cool, I guess. And there are no scenarios that use this map either. There are also several scenarios that have unique grassland maps. The first being the Great Caldera Safari, which this one is not all that interesting. It's kind of like the default one, just a lot less hilly in the background. And there's really no other difference. On the other hand, Myers Lake Island Zoo is a very cool map that has these gigantic rock walls on one side, and on the other side it stretches out into the ocean all the way to the horizon. Something interesting about a lot of these maps is that they will have fake water. For example, Myers Animal Entertainment Park has this gigantic lake in the background, but this water is entirely non-functional. Animals cannot swim in it, they cannot drink it, and it cannot be removed. And this is the case with a lot of scenario maps that feature lakes. Moving on to the tropical maps. The default tropical map can be selected either by picking Africa or North America. This is more or less just Angel Falls without the waterfall, and there are a lot of scenarios that use this map. So we're just going to lightning round our way through these scenarios. The first one is the Madagascan Simian Conservation Project. Then we have Kuala Bintu Taman. And then there's Hope Sanctuary. And last but not least, we have Greenleaf Zoological. Different maps, same borders, and in the words of Gimli, still only counts as one. Moving on from that map, we have the South American tropical map, which is put on top of a mountain that is surrounded by a river. This is just a really cool map. There's no other map like this. Except the Copaga Park scenario has the exact same surrounding mountain range and river going around the mountain. The only difference is the buildable area is a lot more narrow. So I'm going to give this map a half a point because it's kind of the other map, but also it has a significant enough difference. The Asian tropical map is a simple one. It's got a mountain range and a river going around it, which Frontier seems to like their mountain ranges and rivers going around these maps. Case in point, the Oceania tropical map also has a river and a mountain range, but this one only has the river on one side of the map, so that makes it much more different. And rounding out the tropical maps, we actually have two scenario maps that have a unique map border. The first one being the Myers Rainforest Conservation Project, and the second is the Summer Project. This is the one tropical map that isn't surrounded by a mountain range. Instead, it's just on all these small little hills, so that's pretty cool, makes it a lot more unique than the other ones. Next up, we have the Temperate maps. And the default Temperate map is the Europe map, which has this nice farmland countryside with a nice river cutting through it. This is one of the few maps that actually has human influence shown in it. Almost every other map in the game is entirely in a natural setting, which you don't really see because in real life zoos are normally in cities. There are multiple scenarios that use this map border. First is the Goodwin House. Then we have the Scully or Sholey Manor. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's literally just like the same, except with all the habitats from the Goodwin House taken out. And the most recent scenario added to the game is Jones City Zoo. The Asian Temperate map is basically a large island in the middle of a lake, in the middle of some hills. And there's a lot of smaller islands around the large island. And that's kind of a trend you'll see with some of these temperate maps. The Karst-Myers scenario utilizes the same map, except there are a lot of lakes and rivers going into the central main island that you build on. But all these small rivers and lakes are made out of fake water. So all in all, this map gets another half a point for being the same but different. The North American Temperate map is yet another large island in the middle of a lake, in the middle of some hills. The main difference between this map and the Asian map is these islands surrounding the big island are bigger but less frequent. This map border is also used by the Jameson Wildlife Park scenario. And what do you know, the Oceanian Temperate map is yet another island in the middle of a lake in the middle of some hills. A different thing about this one is that the building area on this map is way smaller than all the other normal Sandbox maps, which is odd. The Goodwin Family Wildlife Park is the same map, except there's this tiny little bay at the entrance, which I guess you wouldn't be able to do in the normal Sandbox map, so I guess this is kind of a different map, so I'm going to give it like a 1/10 of a point. Then we also have some temperate scenarios that have their own unique map borders. The first being the Panda Park. Except, hang on. Something about this looks a little bit familiar. Let's look back at one of the earlier maps. Case in point, the Oceania tropical map also has a river and a mountain range, but this one only has the river on one side of the map, so that makes it much more different. Yeah, so this is actually the exact same map as the tropical Oceania map. The difference being it actually is a temperate map, and so it has different terrain paints. And as far as I could tell with the research I did on this video, this is the only pair of maps that have the exact same terrain but are set in two different biomes, meaning you'll get different terrain paints depending on which map you choose. Going back to the theme of temperate maps and islands, we have the Yamaguchi Prefecture Tranquility Zoo, which this one is actually a little different because it's set on an island just in the middle of the ocean. This is the only true ocean map in the entire game. And finally, we have the Bernie Goodwin Memorial Zoo, which is another map set on an island, but this one is cool because it actually has a city backdrop, which is something that we've all been wanting in the game for a while because, like I mentioned earlier, most zoos are not in the middle of the wilderness, they're in the middle of cities. But this one is on an island in the middle of a gigantic lake, so it's still not very realistic. And also, if you're not using expanded borders on this map, it is absolutely tiny. Getting towards the end of our list now, we have the Taiga biomes. The default Taiga map can be selected either by picking Asia or Europe. And as you would expect from a taiga, it's in the middle of a mountain range. There are 3 scenarios which use this map, the first being the Maple Leaf Wildlife Park. The second is Owl's Pine Zoo. And the last is the Turtle Rock Wildlife Orphanage. The North American taiga map is kind of the same. It's in a mountain range, but it also has a river going around it, which kind of seems to be the philosophy for spicing up a lot of these maps. Just add some water. And the Red Barn River Zoo scenario uses the exact same map. And our last taiga map is a unique scenario map. Castle Myers has this great big mountain right on the edge of the map, which makes for a cool feature. And you once again have some water going around the outside. And our last biome that we're going to visit is the Tundra biome. The default Tundra map can be selected by picking Asia, North America, or South America. And as you would expect, there's a lot of snow, and that's going to be a recurring theme in this. And the scenario zoo that uses this map is the Myers Sunshine Happiness Zoo. The second to last map is the Antarctica map, and this one is literally just snow. That's all that is in this map is snow, and there's no scenario zoos. And finally, we have the Europe Tundra map, which is set in the middle of a bunch of mountains and has a large bay area. And interestingly enough, this one, when you load in, does not have any snow, even though it will snow if you have weather turned on. The Goodwin Arctic Research Park is the same map, but when you load into this one, it already has snow. But there really is no difference between the two of them, and as far as that goes, you can either get rid of the snow on this one, or you can put snow on the other one. It's the same thing at the end of the day. However, one interesting difference that I did notice is that the building area with the two maps is actually different. The Europe map, the building area doesn't quite reach the water, whereas the building area in the scenario map goes all the way into the water. I don't know if any of the other maps I've talked about have different building areas depending on which scenario you choose, but honestly, I'm not going to touch that. I've spent long enough trying to get this video out. So there we are. There are 28 point whatever decimal number you want, depending on how you want to define what makes a map unique or not, or whatever ish maps in Planet Zoo. Just as a reminder, I uploaded every scenario zoo with expanded borders to the workshop, and I'll leave the link to the collection in the description down below if you want to check it out yourself. And that's really all for now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, or don't. It's whatever. To be honest, my upload schedule is pretty inconsistent, and I need to go to bed because I wake up at 4:30 to go to work tomorrow. Okay, bye!